You mentioned that typically you don't get to see the original Japanese anime before you try out for the role with the kind of the prevalence of the fan subs and the whatnot. Is it frowned upon in the industry to look into it?
No, I don't think it's frowned upon, but you're given so little notice these days that an audition's coming up. Like sometimes it's like a day or two. You know, hey, we need you to come in, so you don't even get a chance to research. You know, when I can, I try to find it. You know, but generally we don't have that luxury. Just go in and do your best. Any other questions? Yeah.
If Fullmetal Alchemist was live version, who would you want to play the daughter? You start.
Not really up on child actors right now. I don't know.
I'll do it.
You're too old.
Who would you want to play Hughes?
Oh, you go on your knees.
Yeah, you just like
I don't know. Probably be a better question to ask who the main cast would be.
I think you should be Hughes.
I should be Hughes. I should play Hughes. I totally would do that. Actually, I think that Travis Willingham would probably be a good Roy too. Yeah. I don't know that Chris Sabat would make a good Armstrong though live, actually. Unless they had like CGI effects on him to make him like muscular.
Are you calling him a wimp?
No, he's just a normal guy. You know, Armstrong is not. No, nobody could do Armstrong. It'd have to be some kind of suit or something. Yeah, CGI would probably be pretty cool. Yeah, what's your question?
Have you ever done a video game voice acting?
I just recently did one that was nominated by Spike TV's for Game of the Year, and it was called Splosion Man. And I play Splosion Man, and Splosion Man is just this weird little character that's created that propels himself by explosions, like pew, 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 like that. And he grabs people, and if he explodes on them, they become cutlets, deli meats, it seems. And he finally battles the big boss at the end, which is a meat monster.
So do you have a favorite character or a favorite video game then?
I have a favorite video game. It's called Wizard 101. And I'm addicted to that game. And I'm really sad. I've got to stay away from it. I was in my room earlier tonight thinking, I want to play that game. I don't have it on me. I don't have a computer on me. I can't play it. But yeah, it's a cool game. It's like a role-playing character thing, but it's online, so you meet other people, real players in RPG. Yeah, but also it becomes a card game. You know, like when you're battling, you get these cards that line up. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh, but like real life. You know, and you get to play a card, and then it comes to life, and it's an awesome game, and I'm really, really good at it. What else? Before that, I played City of Heroes, which is similar to the Wizard 101. Before that, I didn't play many video games, not for years, but probably 20 years actually. I used to play Double Dragon. I used to walk to 7-Eleven to play Double Dragon with my buddy Billy, and he was my first writing partner. He wrote like the comic books that I would illustrate. The first book we did was called The Sex Gophers from Hell. And we would walk in the middle of the night to go over to 7-Eleven and play this game. And we got so good at it, we just needed to put like 2 quarters, I think it took to play it, and we could play the whole game. You know, all the way. It's like it took 30 minutes to clear it. Now, and I think that because the way the universe works, we put so much energy into this. Years later, they came out with the Double Dragon 3 game. And he came to visit me when I was working at the West End Marketplace. It's a tourist trap. And I used to do portraits of people while they were sitting there. And he came to visit me there and said, hey, let's go down to the gaming room. And they got Double Dragon 3. So we went to go play it, and we looked, and the 2 characters that didn't have names before have names. And it was Billy and Sonny. I went, that is weird. And the character he played was Billy, and mine was Sonny. And I was like, that is so weird. And I thought, maybe because we won so many times, our name was at the top. No, that's not it.
How do you know?
I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, I like playing video games occasionally. I haven't played Splosion Man yet, though. I would like to play it. Is it fun?
Yeah,
cool. Have you heard of Comic Jumper?
Yeah.
Comic Jumper is the Twisted Pixel did that game. And Comic Jumper is the next game that they have coming out. I don't know if it's out yet. But Chris Sabat plays the lead. He's a superhero called Captain Smiley. which has a big round head like a smiley face, you know. And I play the villain, Dr. Winklemeyer. And it's a very fun game. Captain Smiley gets thrown from different comic book genres. Like he'll go into an anime world, and then an American comics world, and then a noir comics world, you know. So it's a really fun, cool game. So check it out when it comes out. And I love doing video games because they pay so much more. They do. Video games are a lot of money. I wish I could do them all the time, but they don't come up that often. About 4 or 5 times a year, maybe. Yeah.
Did Funimation do a Yu-Gi-Oh show before 4Kids, but it's not all over it?
Did they do what?
Did Funimation do a Yu-Gi-Oh show? Did they dub it before Funimation?
Before 4Kids, Yu-Gi-Oh? I don't think so. But you know what's funny is that, because I remember Yu-Gi-Oh being kind of our competition. And then Funimation did a really smart thing. They got into anime distribution as well as production. And when they started, Yu-Gi-Oh was one of the first things we started carrying. So it's like, we're making money off our competition, you know? And it's like, you know, because before I remember saying at conventions, people say something about Yu-Gi-Oh, I go, Yu-Gi-Oh's the enemy! But now it's like, no, it's not the enemy, we're making money off of them. It might be the reason that Funimation is still standing, you know, while so many other companies are folding, because they made some really smart investments. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite episode or a favorite line that you've recorded?
My favorite Hughes line is, "Don't fall on Daddy." Because, you know, I don't ever get to say that. Usually I say, "Please fall on Daddy." But you know, just to my wife and on my birthday, you know. And maybe the anniversary. "Don't fall on Daddy!" Yes?
If Hughes became a homoculi, what homoculi do you think he would be?
What? Lust?
Lust belongs to Roy.
I don't know, but probably gluttony. I mean, he really does savor every moment of everything, right?
Yeah,
It's
but
like-
gluttony eats food, not...
yeah, but he eats adulation, you know, to his daughter and things like that. I mean, he
Gluttony and
he goes overboard. Gluttony is going overboard, and he does go overboard a
Not
lot.
being too prideful.
No, he's not too prideful, I don't think. I mean, he's very proud of one thing, but yeah.
Prideful or...
But she's so cute. I mean, of course, you
you have to be proud of her.
have to be proud of her. That was actually Hughes is one of the probably the most typecast role I've been in. And I told this at my panel yesterday that one of the lines from the show was, "Sorry, but I have a wife and daughter to go home to," right? And I read that in the audition as well. And Colleen Klinkenbeard was handling the auditions that day, and she said, after I was done, she said, "Hey, we're all going to go out for drinks afterwards. You want to go?" And I said, "Sorry, but I have a wife and daughter to go home to." And she told me later that that's why I got cast. She said, "I realized at that moment, you are Hughes." So,
Lie.
yeah, so I got it. I'm a liar?
Yeah.
I'm not Hughes?
No, you're too...
I can show you pictures of my daughter right now. She is adorable. You don't know how Hughes talks when he's off the air. He could be a profound mother. Hush your mouth. But I'm talking about Hughes, and I can dig it. Okay, let's see. Where? Oh, that's my dog though, and she's cute too. There's my daughter sticking her tongue out. Oh, isn't she adorable? Little sign that says, "Hi,
Can
Mom."
you stop moving? It's hard to catch it on camera. Any of your wife?
Huh?
Any of your wife?
I do have pictures of my wife, yeah. You can actually find, if you guys go, any of you on this thing called Facebook? If you friend me, Sonny Strait, on Facebook, you can see lots of pictures of my family on there. And my band and all kinds of stuff there too, so please do. And I'll let you know about comic books that are coming out from there as well. So please, everyone in this room, friend me. And if you are taking pictures, please link it to them, or what do you call it? Tag, thank you. Tag me on that, so I can have that there. I know that word. I'm not that old. I'm just that senile. Yes.
Have you played Dungeons and Dragons or anything related to it?
No fag. Yes, I have played Dungeons and Dragons. When I was 14, maybe even younger than that, I first heard about Dungeons and Dragons. This is back in 1979, maybe, right? And I heard that some kid went insane playing it, and he went to some.
Mazes and Monsters is based off.
Yeah, there's a movie called Mazes and Monsters, right? Yeah, Tom Hanks is one of his first roles, right? And he goes into like a sewer, he gets lost in it or whatever, convinced that he can fight these monsters, and he goes nuts. Well, I thought, how cool is that? So in my little warped mind, I said, I'm going to play this game, see if it makes me crazy. Because I thought, either it won't, and I'll test the prowess of my mental abilities, or it will, and I'll live in a world of monsters! How cool is that? So I played it. It did make me insane. It made me a little embarrassed. Because, yeah, it was kind of weird. And the guys I was playing with were not really into it, And to me, it just felt like acting, but not very good acting. But it made me want to get into acting. It made me actually want to get on stage more. Because I was like, I want to be immersed in these characters, right? But the people I was playing with weren't getting into it, So that was kind of a...
Join our campaign.
Oh, join your campaign? We can really get into it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Sure. And I really like the concept. I don't know if Dungeons and Dragons concept is the same today as it was back then. No. But if you were an elf back then, you were kind of half magic user, half warrior. Okay, and you progressed slower, but you progressed in both those areas. Dual classes. Yeah, you're a dual class, right? And it was kind of cool. That concept was cool to me. And it made me think, yeah, you could do that in real life, I mean, and I kind of do. I'm into comics and I'm into acting and I'm in a band and stuff like this. And when you do spread yourself like that, you do progress slower than other people. As a matter of fact, I'm probably one of the older actors in Funimation, but I still get to do those things. I just have to wait longer for it to show fruition. I mean, I was 36 before I had my first major publication with comics, whereas most people, they're in their 20s. But most people don't get to do both. To me, there's a real advantage of being able to explore every creative venue you want.
You look like you're in your 20s.
Oh, you're so sweet and such a liar.
31 tops.
31 tops? Okay, well, I'm 45. I turned 45 in June. So.
You're really digging that.
I do dig that. But thank you for your flattery. Yes, legs. I'm sorry, what? So you tell me I'm 20 and suddenly I have a libido. Yes, please change.
You hold on.
What's going on here? This convention. Okay, go ahead.
Do it over here. I have short shorts underneath.
This is actually Roy in a miniskirt. Roy Mustang looks dead sexy. Woo! Look at those legs. Somebody get a picture of that for YouTube.
I'm putting this on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. This isn't why I got into the industry, but this is why I'm staying.
I'm 18.
Well, thank you guys for showing up. Ouch.
You have to say the line.
What's the line? Roy Mustang looks dead sexy in a miniskirt. Set to look at my pictures of my wife and daughter. I'm a happily married man. I'm a happily married man. Oh, yeah, fuck it. 18 is way too young, even if I was to go that way. Like, my daughter is 18. Almost.
A couple hundred years ago, it wouldn't matter.
That's true. 100 years ago, you would just be assigned to marry me. Yeah.
You mentioned your band several times, but
Yeah.
what genre do you do? What do you?
I had one band that I just fired last year because they all got so stinking drunk that they couldn't perform. They did it more than once, you know. But it was a band called White Girl, and my wife and I sang for the band. And White Girl was actually... I got a message. I know that you are fooling around. Stop it. Oh, okay. That's actually a band question from my wife. Talking about a friend of mine loaning us a PA for a new band she wants to start. But she's actually just talking today about wanting to start the band up again. But she and I also play in another band with our friend Tom. It's called Chin's Mojo. C-H-I-N-S, Chin's Mojo. If you go to chinsmojo.com, you can hear some of that music. And it's all written by my buddy Tom. It's my best friend from high school. Known him for years and years and years.
Style?
It's cool. The style is very, very rock and roll. Yeah. Now, White Girl was punk rock, but old school punk rock. Like from the Ramones Sex Pistol area.
Oh,
yeah. Except with really tight harmonies between me and my wife. So, yeah. Chin's Mojo is a really cool band, though. My buddy Tom is an amazing songwriter. So, yeah, check it out. I started playing keyboards in his band recently, and it's been a great experience. Any other questions? Anybody else want to change into a miniskirt? You do? You, sir?
I have a request from my brother who's in Afghanistan overseas right now.
Okay.
He would like you to do a Kamehameha wave.
Okay. Is he watching now?
No.
What's your brother's name?
BJ.
Hey, BJ! Kamehameha! And thank you for serving our country, buddy. Any other questions?
Who wants Roy's pants?
Who wants Roy's pants? You may have to give them up now.
$50.
Which pants are you talking about?
We can always have Todd's pants.
You can have Todd's pants.
I'll take them. I'll trade pants.
What is your question over here?
Have you ever had a role that you did just because you needed the money, but you absolutely hated?
I never had to do a role because I needed the money, but I did do a role I hated. It was just this weird, and I mentioned this at the last panel too. I was a guy. I had to play a guy that was buying soiled panties at the soiled panty store, and then he gets butt raped in an alley. And actually, I didn't hate it that much, and I think that's what bothered me the most. It's like, I have no scruples. I have absolutely none. Yes, you haven't asked a question yet.
What is that called?
Butt rape? Cornholing, I think is what it's called. Although that may be between two consenting cornholers. So I don't know. Is that what your question was, really?
Yeah.
What is that called? Does anyone have a name for that? I call it unfortunate. Bad day, yeah, exactly. It's the squeal like a pig technique. Oh, what show was it? I can't remember. Because it was one of those things I was walking down the hallways of Funimation, which is, you know, sometimes not a good thing to do, apparently. And Chris Bevins, one of the directors, looks like, hey, Sonny, come here, I got a part. I need somebody to do this part. And I went, oh, okay, cool, you know, just extra $50, you know. And I go in there, and He says, just an hour, you know. And I went in and I was like, what the fuck is this? That was the most demented thing I've ever done. I tell you what, as soon as this anime craze is over, we can begin to heal as a nation. Yeah. We have people over there fighting in Afghanistan for our rights to watch people buy soiled panties and get raped in an alley. And what the hell is this world coming to?
Mustang in a miniskirt.
Mustang in a miniskirt. Chicks taking their clothes off for voice actors. I mean, what is this world coming to? I ask you, is this right? Is this the world our parents would have lived through?
Yes.
No. Maybe. Yes. You're right, because I'm old enough to be most of your parents. So, any other questions about me adopting any of you? Yes?
In the FMA movie, how did you feel about Maes being a Nazi?
I liked it. It was kind of cool, you know, it's something different, and I was so glad to be doing Hughes again, so I didn't care, you know. Okay, you want Hughes to be buying soiled panties? I'll do it. Because I get to do Hughes again. That's awesome. But he's much more subdued in the movie, though.
He didn't get his wife until like
Yeah.
Like, and that's, because
Yeah, his meaning for happiness. Yeah.
You know that the Full Alchemist Brotherhood movie has been greenlit. Is there any possibility that he's going to be announced as a flashback?
I have no idea. I wish I knew, but I don't. But if I did know, I probably wouldn't be able to say, so, yeah.
Do you know if they're doing any more One Piece dubs?
I do know. I'm not allowed to say.
That's good enough.
So, that's all I'm going to say on that.
there should be.
Yeah, exactly. Any other questions? Yes.
In the anime for FMA, what do you think of Roy and Hughes' relationship as friends and stuff?
I'd say like from 1 to Yowie. Maybe it's probably Yowie.
I wasn't asking about Yowie. I was actually asking on like the serious level of it.
What do you think of their I think they have a very professional relationship, but I think that they also like the little game that they play on the people around them to make them underestimate them with their, you know, goofiness. It's a pretty cool dynamic, you know, it seems it's very original concept too, because I've never seen anything like that. Hughes is a badass, right? And I think he mentions it in one episode. He says, I can't believe they actually believe all this stuff, you know? But I do believe he really does love his daughter, is nuts about her. But I think that most of it's just show so that people will underestimate the situation. And also it's a good way to distract from more important issues, you know? Sure, yeah. Yeah, he's a badass. Any other questions? Yes, Legs.
Did I beat your last awkward, like the most awkward thing yet?
You mean when the girl flashed me at the swimming pool?
Yeah, yesterday.
That's not quite there.
It's still memorial.
Yeah, that happened at a convention in Orlando.
Florida, of course, that's what I always do.
Exactly. I was walking by a swimming pool and some woman, like some girl, I think she's like 21 maybe, but she said, hey Hughes, and I went, hey, and she flashed me. I was just like, oh my God. That was awkward. And awesome. So, any other questions about boobies? No? Any other questions at all? Yes, you in the back.
You, from what I've seen, generally played a best friend or friend of the main character. Have you ever wanted to be the director of the main character of the series?
Yeah, I do play a lot of sidekicks.
Sidekicks?
Yeah, and there's actually a fan club, Sonny Strait Sidekicks, that have started up recently.
I'm going to join them when I get home.
Are you going to join the sidekicks? Cool.
I'll be a tomato, a skirt, a ranger, and then a sidekick.
Awesome. I don't know. I don't have that. I did play Lupin III, who's a hero, you know. And he's my kind of hero, though, because he's a goofball, you know. And so I like playing that. But generally, my voice is not suited unless it's like something like Lupin, you know, to do a heroic voice. Although I did play Bardock. And the Bardock movie, yeah. Yeah, you didn't know that? Look it up. I'm not lying. Frieza, we don't work for you anymore. Got it? That was me. Yeah. He died too. You're right. Every character I do dies. Does that mean I'm going to die someday?
No. Usopp is like the only one who hasn't died.
Yeah, and he's the one who should have died. That guy could take some damage. You think Krillin, yeah, I can see him surviving. He's superhuman, but Usopp. Any other questions? Yes, in the back again.
Kind of a follow-up thing on that last one. How many other people do you play in Dragon Ball Z? Is that like 180 characters?
From Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball GT, I played Bardock, General Blue, Piano, the Man Wolf, King Choppa, of course Krillin, Giru from GT, I'm sure many others. Oh, the Mummy Bandages, that was one I did too. I think I literally did like hundreds of characters, you know, but some of them were just like one-off. But those are the main ones that had lines. Yes?
Is there any way you can tell us how far they are in the dev of Brotherhood? Because I know they had to stop at episode 26.
No, we're not allowed to say that. But I don't know, so it doesn't matter.
Well,
But I wouldn't be able to if I wouldn't be able to say if I knew.
you should have a flashback episode.
Hope so.
Do you ever wake up and still just, wow, I have this job, I have fans?
No, completely ungrateful. It's like before I go to bed. It's the last thing I do. I'm very thankful, and before I go to sleep, and I thank God for what I get out of life, because it really is a very fortunate situation to be in, to get to do exactly what you want to do. You know, I mean, I'm not rich by any means, but I pay my bills doing what I love to do. You know, and that's you can't ask for much more than that. Yes.
You said earlier that Funimation has like over like 100-some voice actors on their stable. How many of them are actually in One Piece? It's like I couldn't like count them all from the list. I think there's like a bunch more that's uncredited.
Most of the main ones, yeah. But that was because they really wanted an all-star cast for that show, because they had to impress the Japanese people, because the Japanese were not impressed with the last cast of One Piece. So we had to really impress them.
It's just like figuring out for like 6 different characters on that series.
It's like,
And sang the theme song.
oh, two of them. And an ending.
And an ending. You should do
Yes.
I was just kind of curious, what is the relationship between American distributors and Japanese companies, and how it evolved?
You know, they're a lot closer now than they used to be. I mean, it used to be they took so long for us to get stuff approved. But now, because we have a years of history, we almost record like sometimes just a year after them. You know, we're like just chasing them. So the relationship is very good. I'm losing my voice. I think it was the Bardock line, but I'm not sure.
Too much sake.
Too much sake. Yeah, maybe not now.
That's a lost
Trying to get the image burned out of your mind.
Ah, that's better. Yes.
What do you feel about fillers?
What?
Filler.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it depends if they're entertaining or not. I think it's like having comic relief, you know? Sometimes you need a little breather before you get back into the heavy stuff, you know?
Episode 13, original Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh yeah!
Life versus Full Metal.
And I don't consider that filler, though. I just consider that enhancement, you know?
But it's all like
But sometimes it is filler, you know? And I think, like all those TV shows, American TV shows, where they have the flashback episodes, total filler, right? But if it's actually, you know, something to enhance the characters or understanding of it, or just to be entertaining and give people a break from some of the heavy stuff that's about to hit, I mean, Shakespeare did that kind of shit, so, you know, yeah. You in the back.
Do you have any sage words of advice as a voice actor?
As a voice actor, you know, the best advice I heard was from Eric Vale. I had a panel recently with him, and I usually tell voice actors who want to be, people who want to be voice actors, to go into theater, because getting response from a live audience is so beneficial to you, you know, because you get a sense of timing that you don't have. I mean, there's no audience in a booth, but if you have that internally from years of experience on a stage, you can project that a lot better than you could if you don't have that experience. But Eric said, to someone who asked, what does it take to be a voice actor? He said, don't go out to be a voice actor. Don't set out to be a voice actor. Learn the craft of acting. Because life will give you so many twists and turns, you have no idea what you'll end up doing. And there was a panel of 12 voice actors, and he said, how many of us up here set out to be voice actors? None of us raised our hands. And I think if you go through most of the voice actors, most of them would say no. I was set out to be a theater teacher. I wanted to be a professor of theater at East Texas State University when I started out. I had no idea I'd end up being a voice actor. So just learn the craft of acting, because really the most important thing is applying your skill, you know, in some form. So I would say if you want to go into the field, you must love the field. You must love the craft. You must love it to your core, because it is so hard sometimes. You know, it's a feast or famine industry, and I'm very fortunate that I can pay my bills on a regular basis. But sometimes I'll get like bank, you know, for like 2 months, and then 3 months of nothing. So it's a very hard field. So you have to love it. If you don't love it, you will not last in it.
Love it like Hughes loves Elixir.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to be fanatical about it. Yes?
I just came in, so I apologize. Just asked before I got it. But do you prefer Krillin with or without hair?
I prefer him without hair. He just doesn't look like Krillin to me, you know, with hair. You know? But also because he was a Shaolin monk, you know, that's why he has these dots on his head. So he needs to proudly display those, and you know, I'm sure it's his wife told him to do it. Women. My wife is responsible for me not having hair down to here. Because that's what I would do, is grow it out and not even think about it.
Well, his wife is injury, so he has to.
Yeah, but his wife is basically a sophisticated blow-up doll, so... Why don't you just say, honey, you just don't understand how human beings are. Most people respect a bald man. So, and she'd believe it. What does she know? You know, she's a robot.
Cyborg.
She's a cyborg.
Android.
Android, exactly.
Android 18.
Hence her entire name. It says it all. Any other questions about blow-up dolls? How do you get a blow-up doll? What'd you say? How do you what?
How do you hide them from your wife?
How do you hide blow-up dolls from your wife? I have no idea.
Hope she never looks on YouTube.
Yeah. I don't have any blow-up dolls. Not yet. Yes?
Who's your favorite voice actor besides yourself?
Well, I definitely wouldn't say I'm my favorite voice actor. My favorite voice actor is a guy named Mel Blanc, who's no longer with us, but he was responsible for Bugs Bunny and Porky Pig and Daffy Duck and Yosemite Sam and all those Warner Brothers characters, because those are the characters I grew up on, you know. And so, yeah, he is by far my favorite voice actor.
My favorite is a tie between you and your Randall.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate sharing the limelight in your brain. Any other questions?
As of today, you are now #1.
Aw, thank you. That's very nice. You're just saying that because I'm staring at your legs.
No, you're #2 prior.
Okay.
You just beat Vic.
I beat Vic?
You just beat Vic.
Wow. Because Vic works really hard to get his fans. That's an honor. I accept this reward. In the name of drunks everywhere. Yeah, take that, Vic. So, anyone else have the favorite voice actor too? Just a show of hands. Like 5, that's good.
We all love you, though.
How many people do love me in here? I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I really love you in your head thing. I love you, I love you. I love you in the back with your camera. Hello. I love you, I love you. I love you too, sorry. Sorry, I love you guys too. I love, your boobs almost coming out, but I still love you. As a matter of fact, I love you more because your boobs are coming out. And when you laugh, they jiggle. Okay, so... Shut up!
Jacket's hot. Roy, no.
Yes, what is your question in the back
I
there?
have a
The wig. Yeah, that's a bad question. Yeah, in an anime convention, that is not a way to distinguish people. You with the blonde wig with the spike right here.
That's it. Knowing how, knowing how very colorful Vic can get when he's on the tirade as either Edward or Bobby, would you purposely make him do that during shoots or non-paid shoots just to stay a little off?
Well, I never directed Vic, so I have no idea how I would torture him in the booth. But I'm sure I would find some way.
John Schimmel!
John Schimmel tortures us in the booth, so don't worry about it. Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd have Sean Schimmel come in 2 hours before Vic. And I would feed him burritos. Thai food. Yeah. And some barbecue and say, have at it. Enjoy. Fresh that room up for Vic. And then Vic would come in and go, okay, let's do some recording now. And, okay, go to close the door and, oh my God, what is that smell? That's my impression of Vic. Yes, he sounds like a 2-year-old little girl. Oh my God! He does not sound anything like that. For those of you at YouTube who may judge me for this. Yes?
Have you ever been able to do recordings in a group like they do in Japan?
No, because Japan, they don't care if they match mouth flaps or not. And we do. So we have to, and we've set a precedent with that here. And Japan is well accepted. They don't care if the actors match it. But if we did it here that way, we would get letters. So we have to record one at a time. And it's very difficult, I mean, especially if you're the first actor going in, because you have no idea how someone before you is going to say that line, but you have to react to it thinking about how they would say the line, you know? It's really cool if you're the last person to record, because then you go in there and you got everyone else to play off of, and you sound like the most natural person on the show. When I was directing Lupin III, now we did not do the TV show, we did the movies for Funimation. We had like 11 of them. And I directed all but one and played Lupin. So I actually went in and took all of Lupin's lines and I recorded a real rough track of them and let the actors play off of my rough track. And then I went back in and re-record playing off of them. So it's probably the best chemistry you could hear in anime is to check out the Funimation Lupin III movies. Crisis in Tokyo, or Tokyo Crisis, I don't remember what they finally went with. That's probably one of the best ones, but check them out because it's really, really good vocal chemistry. But generally we don't have the luxury to do that. We got to get shows out. I mean, there's a schedule to be met. So we just do the best we can, you know. But with Lupin movies, they just put me on an island somewhere and said, you know, just do what you want. Yeah?
How come there was never an English dub for Lupin versus Conan?
I'm not allowed to talk about that yet. So. I have no idea. I have no idea. That would be really cool. That would be a really cool thing to do. Wouldn't it be a really cool thing to do? Yeah.
Is there ever any room for improvising because of the flaps and everything?
Yes, there is. Actually, for those of us who've been doing this for many years, we actually got to the point where we can improvise to flaps. And with Lupin especially, because I had Chris Sabat, you know, is playing Jigen, and I had Mike McFarlane playing Goemon, thank you. And so Meredith McCoy was playing Fujiko. So we had these people who had years of experience, and I told them, look, the script is just a rough draft. You know, if you want to do something different, as long as the intention is the same and you can do it better, please do it. And they could improvise to the flaps, and I could too. So it was really cool experience. And also, it helps, you know, like, because sometimes the scripts don't quite match the flaps because the writers aren't in the booth, you know, they're at home trying to match it as best as possible, but they're not saying these things out loud. You know, they're just counting flaps and going, okay, probably this, right? So when you're in the booth, a lot of times it doesn't match. But if you can improvise to flaps, a lot of us can just come up with something on the fly and say, what about this? And the director goes, yes, thank you. Use that. So it helps you get cast more too, because they know that you're going to help production go faster, because you know how to keep things moving along, even when it's not written well. Yes?
When you started voice acting in Dragon Ball Z, was Krillin your first choice?
Yeah, I think so. It's the one I really wanted. But no, I lie. At first it wasn't, because it wasn't in my sides. I got a folder that didn't have him in it, so I didn't even know that was a character, you know. And then that was the first show, and they actually did let us watch the original cast, because the original cast was from Canada, right? It was Ocean Group, and we had to try to sound like the Ocean Group people. They wanted us to sound exactly like them. So I saw Krillin up there on one of the sides, but I went, well, he's not in the folder, so they must have cast him, so I didn't even look at him. So I was going for these other parts. And then when I went in there to record, they said, okay, can you do Krillin? And I went, Krillin? Oh, that's not in my folder. And they said, oh, well, here's a copy of the sides. And I said, well, I didn't get to see him. You know, I didn't pay attention to him because I thought he's already cast. And he went, well, he's just kind of nasally, you know. And so I did something, and I don't know what I did, but I got a call from Chris Sabat a week later, and he said that, we want you for Krillin, but it's up between you and another actor. And you're a better actor than he is, but he sounds more like the original Krillin. And I said, well, dude, I didn't get to see it. And I told him the story, and he said, okay, I tell you what, we'll have another audition, and we'll let both of you come out and see the sides again, and see the original cast and do it. So I got to watch it, and then I nailed it. Because at that point, I really wanted that part, right? And I got the voice down, but back then he sounded like this. It was, hey Goku, wait up! I mean, that was Krillin's voice, right? So I did it. I got the part of Krillin. So yeah, I definitely wanted that, because it was a big challenge, you know. But what's funny is that years later, Chris Sabat gave me a tape, and he said, you should listen to this. This is your audition for Krillin, you know. And I listened to it, and it sounded like this. I mean, I'd actually come up with a voice in the audition that I ended up keeping, you know, because at first, you know, they're trying to get us to sound like all the original characters, but I was the only one that the director, Barry Watson at the time, let me do a different voice. He said, dude, that sounds just like Terry Clausen, but I hate that voice. Can you do something else? And I was like, well, what do you want? He goes, well, you know, Krillin is a midget, but he's the world's strongest person, you know? Can you make him sound tougher? And I went, because Popeye is my favorite character of all time. And I said, like Popeye on helium. He goes, what do you mean? I went, I don't know, something like this. Come on, let's go, guys. And he went, yeah, that sounds pretty good. let's do that. So Barry had an interesting accent, by the way. So, yeah, he's a Texas director, so yeah. So we went with that. So I was actually very fortunate to be the only Dragon Ball Z cast member that got to do my own voice, you know, that I got to create my own voice for Krillin. And at first, the hate mail was coming back, it doesn't sound anything like Krillin, you know. And then the second season, we became #1. Not only did we become #1, we became the highest rated animated TV show in American history. I mean, we beat out the frickin' Simpsons, you know? And then, nobody could remember what the Canada group sounded like, you know? Because we'd actually turned that thing around, so, yeah. And what's really weird is that most of the cast members from Dragon Ball Z came from a little town called Denton, Texas. And it was a college town, and I went to college there, and Sean Schimmel did, Chris Sabat did, Stephanie Nadolny did, Tiffany Vollmer did, Eric Vale did. I mean, most of the cast members, Sean Schimmel went to school there. And Denton, Texas is a very strange place. Have you seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Yeah!
It's set in a town called Denton. That is because Richard O'Brien went to school at the University of North Texas, and so he called, you know, Denton. And Denton, a lot of musicians come from Denton. It is like an arts colony surrounded by cattle ranches. So yeah, it's a very creative place. I had my own theater company there, and at that time there were 3 other live theater companies in a small town. So this small town was supporting that much live theater. It's a very artsy place, so it was, I don't think Funimation really thought that they were going to get a gold mine like that, but they got Chris Sabat as assistant director at the time, and he knew all these Denton people. And so he pulled it in and said, I know a lot of where I can find some talent to pull into this. And I think that really made the show #1. you know, the magic of Denton, Texas.